some talent. Whereas, maybe they're past their physical prime, but they're in their cerebral prime. You know what I mean? They understand the game better than they have ever before. And that is something that our young core at the linebacker position, especially everybody's young except Matt Milano, and he's young. You know what I mean? So everybody could use some tutelage from a Bobby Wagner or somebody of that nature. So I feel like going and getting the linebacker and then also drafting one would be cool. Like, because I mean, again, Brandon Mean has done it. He's did it again. He has filled up pretty much every hole somehow. I don't know. He continues to create magic, right? So you get a linebacker second or third round, maybe develop him. You can still go get an OBJ, and then also a Bobby Wagner or somebody like that. And then not only that, but I feel like there's a way in which you can use a Balen Spector or it's Royal Bernard or whatever the case may be, and not even necessarily go after a linebacker. You can retool a defensive line, and you can, kind of hide the deficiencies you have at the linebacker position because you have a dynamite secondary. Everybody's there. So if you get a defensive line that's going to force the quarterback to get the ball out of his hands, your linebackers aren't going to be caught in so many compromising positions. And it might even help them make some plays and get some balls that bounce their way, and that could increase their confidence. And you know what confidence do for a player. It's the difference between Malcolm Butler being a nobody who we never knew, getting a Super Bowl interception, and then he's a star player somehow. So confidence is everything. And if your defense is playing with confidence,
I think it's time to talk to my guy Jared. Let's
Jared,
talk to my guy Jared and see what he thinks about this. Because
Jared,
I know right now it's what linebackers. Okay, so now we're just moving on to just draft prospects. We always talk about the free agents all the time. We always
yeah,
talk about the Rashawn Evans, the Bobby Wagners, the Anthony Walkers. We always talk about those on that side. What about linebackers that's coming out of college right now? What would be your top three interior linebackers in your eyes that you think that the Bills should take a swing at? That's pretty much on their board. What do you think? That's three linebackers. Give me three linebackers right now that you think that's on the Bills board.
you talking to me or Jared?
Talking to you.
Oh,
I have Jared on there. I
I
said
thought.
we need to get Jared on.
Oh man, I don't know. I ain't did too much homework on the linebackers yet. I was looking at the wide receivers, man.
You supposed to be looking at the combine.
I
The
know.
combine tell you all that. Flag on the play, y'all. Flag on the
Who was your top three?
flag on a play.
Who's your top three? That's what me.
I'm cheating because I went to the combine, so I know.
Of course.
But yeah, I think that three linebackers really didn't come to mind for me. That I think the Bills got their scope on is the linebacker from Arkansas. Linebacker from Arkansas. I think his name is Drew Sanders. Drew Sanders. You got Jack Campbell from Iowa. It's pretty solid. Both of those guys like 6'4", 230, 240. They still give you that frame, that Tremaine Edmonds type of frame. Those are, even though they're younger guys, they're kind of cerebral. The kid from Arkansas, I think, is a little bit more athletic than Campbell, but Campbell is, definitely, 6'5", 240, so he fits that Tremaine role. Yeah, and
Drew Sanders.
definitely, yeah, he's a more downhill type of guy.
Drew Sanders is looking to be a mid third round, fourth round, and Jack Campbell is looking to be early to late second round pick.
Okay, and then another guy is Trenton Simpson from out of Clemson.
Yeah.
I think that he might be probably the top guy out of those three on the list. But just because but he's a 3-4 outside linebacker. He can be outside in a 3-4-2. I mean a 4-3, but um, those type of guys. Um, yeah, but I'm talking more or less guys on the interior. Bill's got enough guys on the outside. He got Matt Milano on the outside. He's the matchup guy really, and you got the middle of the guy. He controls the middle of the field. So maybe it's something that they might be going after at the length. The length, that more Tremaine mode of player. We'll just have to wait and see on how the ball falls. So, listen up. Phone lines are open, 716-837-1112. You know what to do. We'll be right back with more late night sports. All right. And when we do return, maybe we'll have my boy Brandon Bean on deck. We finally found some clips. So keep it locked, keep it legendary. You're tuned into the WFO 1080 AM on Power 96.5. We'll be right back.
Oh, somebody told me.
Black excellence every Thursday on the legendary 1980 AM
Oh, I told you that.
and Power
Oh,
96.5 FM.
do you think there's a possibility Matt Milano might be
Some
calling
of the
those?
biggest names in the world of entertainment who are making major moves in the entertainment sector. You'll talk with athletes, actors, producers, engineers, musicians, and filmmakers, plus coaches and players. Celebrity Spotlight every Thursday at 4:20 p.m. from the legendary WUFO, Mixed at 80 a.m., powered 96.5 FM.
My name is Lakeisha McClinton. I am an African American business owner. I've heard too many horror stories from friends who were injured in accidents and hired the wrong lawyer because of television commercial or billboards. When I was injured in an accident, I hired an attorney, John Elmore. Because of his reputation, John Elmore and his entire staff treated me professionally and with compassion. They cared about me and treated me like family. John Elmore waged war against the insurance companies and made them pay me the full insurance policy amount. I used the money for my settlement to buy a home for my family. I can tell you from my own experience that John Elmore lived up to his reputation. John is a compassionate, caring attorney who gets results.
This is attorney John Elmore. If you're injured in an accident, please call me at the $3 million phone number, 300-0000. I will personally handle your case.
Hello, my name is attorney Lindy Korn of the Law Offices of Lindy Korn, and I am proud to partner with WUFO Power 96.5 FM in the celebration of all women during Women's History Month, specifically putting an end to sexual harassment and retaliation. If this sounds familiar, please call the Law Office of Lindy Korn.
WUFO can never be duplicated. No one does it like WUFO. Nobody can beat us at being us. We were the first at the urban brand.
What's up? You guys have a franchise, aka Lil 30, and we always live on 96.5.
Hold on, man. You might have to play that. Play that one back one more time. You gotta play that back. You gotta play that back. I don't think they heard you, man. Gotta play that back. Sending this one out to my guy, Lil Dirty. That's what you're going with? Can you turn me up some juice on my microphone, please? What's good, sports world? Welcome to Late Night Sports. I'm your host, Muki Hawkins, on the ones and twos, DJ Ready Rob, your favorite nephew, on deck. Joining me inside the booth, I have my guy, Justus, the general fan base. Come check him out. You know what I mean? Twitter, extraordinary, all that good stuff. We did have some clips, and we did. We're gonna miss our guy a little dirty. You know what I mean? My man Isaiah McKenzie. Rumor has it is between the Los Angeles Chargers and possibly the Giants are going to look into Isaiah McKenzie's services. So, we kind of knew like that was going to happen. But we finally got an opportunity to speak with Bills general manager Brandon Beane on, what has been going on in free agency. How do he feel about certain things? And, we're going to dedicate this second half of the show to that. Brought to you by Premier Cigar, nothing but Western New York's premier cigar place. Make sure you head on down to 1327 Jefferson Avenue and get you some of the best stogies you could possibly, you know, do your thug thizzle with. But nevertheless, Brandon Bean. But first, before we do that, the Bills did pick up a wide receiver today, and he was made available during Zoom. So here's our guy, new wide receiver, Trent Sherfield.
Local media, we will get started with questions if you're ready.
All right, I'm ready.
Perfect. To start with Muki.
Fred, Muki Harkins, Buffalo Sports 1080. Welcome to Buffalo.
I appreciate it, man. Nice to meet you, man.
No doubt. Hey, man, you're getting closer to playing, to home back in Illinois. So what's your role you plan to play here in Buffalo?
I mean, my role, thing I plan on playing is, being a weapon on offense, being a guy that can be depended on to make plays and, situations for the offense, and just being able to be readily and accessibly available to be needed, especially on special teams. But my goal has always been to, prove myself as a receiver in this league, and no job is too small for me. But I think that, being a guy that can make plays, for this offense and kind of, carry over, what I did last year in Miami, kind of take another step forward as far as being a receiver, being a guy who can be used on the offense.
Absolutely, man. And last year was kind of like a breakout year for you. You showed great display of hands and speed. Do you feel that the Dolphins kind of like undervalue that with the work that you put in, and that's why you go with the mantra of betting on yourself?
No, I don't think they devalue me or anything like that. I think it's a business. Can't take it personal. Certain things happen, and there's other guys that they want to step up. And, for me, I'm just looking out for my family and the opportunity that I know that that I can prove myself to be the receiver in this league that I know I can. And it was a fun time in Miami. Thanks to Mike for giving me my first real shot. Thanks to the whole organization for giving me my first real shot to play receiver. And now it's just time to tear it up here with Buffalo.
No doubt.
That's your wide receiver, Trent Sherfield, on coming to tear things up in Buffalo. All right, and again, the one thing that these draft picks, I mean not draft picks, but these free agents that the Bills are bringing in, the one common thing they bring to the table is speed. Yeah. All right, Sherfield, he brings that speed element. Deontay Hardy, he brings that speed element. So we got guys that that are fast. You got Damian Harris, when healthy, he is pretty damn fast. And you're right, my guy Trav, you can't teach speed. So appreciate everybody that's tuning in on social media right now, Facebook, Twitter. Hey, make a comment. I don't mind, stating it live on air. You know what I mean? And answer all questions. All right. So, but this is all about being the second half of the show. We're going to give you clips and bits and pieces of Bean and some of the things on he feel about what transpired in free agency up to date. So let's just get right into it. Who do we have up next? Is it Ed Oliver and the Tremaine situation? Dean O'Main, right? So that's what we got. We got Brandon Bean basically talking about how big of a blow losing Tremaine Edmonds was, and basically how does this experience, because I think that they didn't really prioritize the right way.
Yeah.
And you end up losing out on re-signing Tremaine Edmonds. So how does this experience prepare you for what's yet to come between Ed Oliver and Gabe Davis? And this was Brandon Bean's response.
How big of a blow was this to lose Tremaine, and how much does this experience factor in how you go about the future with dealing with Gabe Davis and Ed Oliver?
Well, I mean, you want to keep them all, Mookie. You just you can't, and you gotta pick your spots and do your best, with you can. But we're always wanting to again draft, develop, sign our own. Sometimes, you know, there's big ticket items that you just can't. You can only pay so many guys, and so when you're talking about a guy that just hit, an 18 million APY, that's hard. If you're gonna pay that, then you may say, all right, we're going to lose this guy or we're going to need to move on from him. So you make decisions and you do the best you can. You don't want to lose a guy like Tremaine, but no, guys like Gabe and Ed, we'll hope to continue here for longer than their rookie deals that they're, currently on. With the result.
Pretty interesting. What's your take on that?
That was interesting. He said we hope to continue on longer than the rookie deals, as if he is not the determining factor in whether that happens or not. I mean, I feel like Brandon Beane is never gonna show his hand, and he's been known to say one thing and maybe, not necessarily lie, but go in a different direction than what he originally said. And I feel like this could be one of those, type of situations, and I wouldn't be mad at it, to be honest.
Okay. All right. So, moving on to that now, there is, a little battle that's going on between the cornerbacks now since, they brought the band back together. They brought Dane Jackson back. Royer is back. So, that kind of leaves that number 2 cornerback position in competition. I mean, one of those 3 are going to be Tre'Davious' backup, but it's a 3-man race still with, I guess, Dane Jackson being the starter right now. He still, I'm just saying, he was the starter last year. Even though his contract was up, doesn't mean he loses his spot.
Kyrie Elam is not a starter. Somebody needs to scream on Sean McDermott.
Yeah, something needs to give with that. So, I asked Brandon Beane about that situation, the OBJ situation, and of course, what is it going to take to make Ken Dorsey have a better year too? And this is what Beane had to say about that. I guess.
Toughest year yet to try and pull that off.
You mentioned bringing Jordan for your back, and I think at the combine it was mentioned about Benford converting to safety. Now that you have Foyer back, you bring Dane back. What are you looking at that cornerback number 2 with Benford, Elam, and now Dane Jackson?
Yeah, well, it'll be what we talk about all the time, Mookie, competition, and we'll put them in the best spots. Yeah, as we were talking at the combine, we think Christian's skill set would allow him to move to safety if that's the best place for him. But we'll see once we, kind of get through the draft and through the rest of this free agency and where can we best get our best players on the field and if his best place is at corner, we'll leave him there. If we think his best place in the future is at safety, then maybe we would do that now behind Micah and Jordan and start that transition.
I asked Coach McDermott at the combine about OBJ, and just give us what you thought about his workout last week out in Arizona.
Yeah, we sent one of our scouts, Matt Bazergan, went out there, and so without getting too in details, he, thought he did a good job. Showed, obviously, you see his hands if you've seen some of the video that he still can pluck that thing one-handed, and I think he's, like anything, he's probably a little rusty. He hasn't played football, so it'll take him some time to work back in, but he's a heck of a talent, and we're always going to be doing our due diligence, and if somebody's working out, if we can get somebody there, we'll take a look.
Yeah, some of the elements you think that will make Ken Dorsey better year 2.
Like anything, you were probably a better writer year 2 than you were year 1, Mookie. I didn't read your year 1 stuff, but I would like to think I'm a better GM. Some probably disagree, but years 3, 4, and 5 down the line than I was year 1. I can tell you some things that I was like, why would I even think that way, or why would I do that? So I think naturally, it's hard. It's a grind. You play a game, you coach a game in his And then you come in, you watch the film, and then you meet with our scouts and hear the advance report from the next team, and then you basically are restarting. It's hard to slow down, decompress, take a deep breath. I think, Ken has been very open and, did a lot of good things. I think, other than quarterback itself and maybe the head coach is probably the most criticized position, once you get in. It seems like defensive coordinators get a lot less grief than offensive coordinators around the league. Not Buffalo, but just people are always second guessing that position. I mean, we still did a lot of good things offensively, in the totality of our season. People remember we were a little off down the stretch, but if you really added up a lot of things, they were still very good. And Ken's a pro. He's his own worst critic, like Josh, and he wants to grow and get better. And I think just year two, knowing what it's like and working with his staff as the head guy, communication and knowing who to rely on for red zone stuff and the run game stuff and how he's going to give the game plan to Josh and Joe Brady, and just all that should be easier. It's a little bit drinking out of a fire hose year one anytime you step into one of these bigger positions.
Woo, they had a lot to say about that one, didn't he? Woo, Brandon Bean, you had a lot to say about that one. Ain't nobody gonna talk about Dorsey. Nobody gonna talk about Dorsey like that. Let me set the record straight right now. But I appreciate the honesty. Great answer. That's what we're looking for out of our GM, right? Drinking out of a fire hose. I mean, you don't know what the hell is going on. It's coming at you so darn fast. And we give him that. So do what we do. We put the necessary pieces together in front of him. So we had a problem with Rack. All right. Now you went out and you got two players that can definitely be dynamic with run after the catch. But we still need to go get that big fish to make it all good. All right. And I'm telling you, we still don't count OBJ out. If it's a match made, then it's just as good as done. You know what I mean? So, Brandon Bean, again, getting back to that mantra of just making things competitive. And, speaking of competitive, let's talk about Deontay Hardy for 1 second. I mean, again, this guy gives me Tyreek Hill kind of vibes. He get the ball in open space. He's a little bit more shiftier, a little bit more twitchier than Isaiah McKenzie. We spoke about that yesterday as well. But, here it is, a guy, Deontay Hardy, who has the speed to blow the top off the defense and beat you underneath and outrun everybody as well. So another speedster with a little bit more, shiftiness when it comes. Just imagine Cole Beasley shiftier with 4.3 speed. This is what you're getting out of, Deontay Hardy. So here's Brandon Bean on that pickup.
Now, you've been in contact with Devin Singletary, and what is like shopping on the running back market?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked to his reps just like everyone else, and probably leave it, at that. But, we've talked to, like anything, we monitor everything, Muki, and every position. Even if you think we've got it filled, I promise you we're monitoring because you want to add competition and depth. And so, we'll stay on that.
And what about
I don't know that. I mean, I'm really looking everywhere. I mean, we got to build this thing up to be able to go to camp. So, we're kind of monitoring the positions that are still heavy. We think we can get some good value on. Really, what we're trying to do is sign guys that we think, we necessarily don't want to have to go into the draft and like, man, I've got to get this position if we can help. Maybe we draft over. Maybe it's a backup player now that we draft over, but someone that we can at least say this person could compete for a top backup job or potentially a starting role.
Rack, and that was something that you really emphasized on, going into last season. That really didn't materialize. So you think that bringing in, Hardy was more or less of that, getting a guy that could, run after the catch.
As part of it, yeah. He's a guy that can do a lot. As I said, Rack. He can also He can hit it deep. He's a vertical threat, and if you've got a legit vertical threat, that can help open things up. For Gabe or Steph or Khalil, any of the other guys that are playing receiver. So I think he'll just be another piece that Dorsey can use however he wants. Like I said, as an outside or an inside, and Coach Smiley will have an opportunity to throw him back there in the return game with Naeem. Those guys will have opportunities to do that as well.
So there you have it, Brandon Bean talking a little bit about you having talks with Devin Singletary and what they're still looking for out of the running back spot. We all know that ended up being Damian Harris, and then Devin Singletary signed with Houston earlier today. The future of the Bills estate, more or less, trying to find a guy that either could, go and compete for a starting job or eventually start. So again, Bills back to being a little bit more competitive on, setting the tone on this roster again. I mean, there's a different type of hunger that's gonna, create the competition factor to go up and make guys play at a high level, vying for, a roster spot on this team. So, what are your thoughts on Brandon Bean?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's just doing what he always does, and that's put his team in the best position to succeed. I love the shift in the ideology. He realized, hey, we don't have we don't have Brian Dayball anymore. This is Brian Dayball's offense, and we kind of let Ken Dorsey get a shot with Brian Dayball's offense to see what he could do. And I mean, number two in the league in scoring, number two in the league in offense, so it looks good. But I mean, if you watch every snap like we do, then something's lacking. Um, so why don't you go out there and get some tools that can allow Ken Dorsey to maybe be more creative and get in his bag a little bit. And I think
Right.
these are some pieces to do that. And it just it goes like I said, I'm sorry, Brandon Bean again has done it again, and that's just it's nothing new at this point. You know what I mean?
So Brandon Bean won the offseason. That's what Justice the General is working on. So
He's
we're gonna
winning.
we're gonna leave it right there. You know what I mean? On behalf of Justice the General, my guy, your favorite nephew, DJ Ready Rob, I'm Mookie Hawkins. We're gonna pick this thing back up on
What is that?
Wednesday. I'm gonna be doing something tomorrow with Buffalo Rumbles, my guy. Shout out to Jay Spence. I'll be talking with
Oh
him and
yeah,
Jim Miller
I'll be there
this
too.
Tuesday. But stay safe, choose love, not hate, and wash them damn hands, man.
It's interesting
He
how
ain't tell me he
two
was gonna be there.
cultures are so different. So you
Huh?
got the
He ain't tell me
African
that he
American
invited
I'm
you.
supposed to do it Friday, but I'm